is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Greetings, mortal. That's kind of frightening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 74 of Lords of the Storm. My name is Greg Parker, a.k.a. Gizmozord, but you can call me Gizmo, and we have a very special show for you all tonight. Joining me, as always, first up we have Mr. Kevin Ellis, a.k.a. Multizord. Multi, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Fantastic. We also have Mr. Ryan Reeder, a.k.a. TBK Zord. TBK, how are you doing this evening?
Doing wonderfully.
All right, and also joining us this evening is Heroes of the Storm producer Claudio Gentilini to discuss some Auriel. Claudio, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me out.
Oh, absolutely. We are super stoked about this hero and for this opportunity to kind of delve a little bit deeper. But real quick here, if you could just kind of fill us in, when did your adventures with Blizzard first begin, and how did you find yourself getting involved with Heroes of the Storm?
So I got my gig at Blizzard in 2007. So been here almost a decade. Started actually bottom of the chain, working in tech support, taking phone calls. Eventually moved on to like the forums and started helping out folks there. And then Team One, who was just making StarCraft at the time, opened a position for a production assistant. So lowest end of the production chain there, I jumped in. I luckily got the job, and I've been with Team One ever since. So I helped out with Wings of Liberty. I helped out with Heart of the Swarm. And while Heart of the Swarm was going on, we were working on mod maps for BlizzCon, and we had Blizzard Dota at the time. And so I played a lot of Dota. I played a lot of Han. I was just kind of naturally involved in kind of the MOBA scene. So I was the first producer that they kind of put onto the project. So the team was small at that point. We were like 4 or 6 people, and we've blossomed to many times that. So it was a good start. I've been with the team ever since I was dedicated to the project, so I haven't switched off.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, what better person to have then, right, to discuss some Auriel for somebody who's been there with Heroes since the get-go. So let's hop right into it. I know you guys released a few days ago kind of Auriel's kit, but for people who haven't seen that, why don't you just kind of give us a quick overview of her basic abilities, her trait, and what do we got, what can we expect when we see her in the game?
Yeah, so I mean, community is asking for a support hero, so we had to make another one, just like we whipped it out like that, right? So, no, she's been in the works for a while. She's definitely a special snowflake. She's our first support hero. She has no mana. She's fully energy based, so it's about managing cooldowns and gaining energy. So she's definitely a different type of support in that sense. Her trait is kind of what makes all of this function. It's kind of the machine behind how she works. She's got it's called Bestow Hope. She's got she empowers basically an ability, or sorry, she has her own ability to deal damage and do whatever she needs to. She gains energy based off damaging heroes. She gains a lesser amount based off of damaging minions. And she can bestow hope on a nearby ally. So as long as they're within a certain proximity to her, she gains that same bonus off of them. So obviously better on your assassins and those types of things, but it can work on tanks and other stuff too if you need to. So the more damage she deals, it's an interesting component to it. She doesn't just naturally have to manage her mana. She's trying to deal damage or having her allies deal damage, so she can gain this energy to heal. And she can do some damage herself with her Q ability. It's called Sacred Sweep. It's pretty good wave clear. It's quite a full 180-degree cone, but there's talents that help make it larger. It's kind of slow. It can become faster with certain talents as well. But the cool thing about it is it does double damage to enemies or minions caught in the very front of it. So there's a thin line in the front of it that does more damage. So being, excelling at hitting heroes and other things in the middle of that can help empower that better. And then her heal is actually triggered off her W. It's called Ray of Heaven. It's a 4-second cooldown, so it's one of the fastest heals in the game. Of course, it's not going to heal for very much if you're not dealing damage or your allies aren't dealing damage, so you have to be cognizant of kind of what your energy levels are at. So if you need an on-demand heal and you don't really have much built up, it's going to be a challenge to keep up certain players in certain situations. Her E ability is kind of a disengage tool. It's a damage tool. It can be an engagement tool as well. It's called Detainment Strike. It's a longer cooldown. It's around 14 seconds. It damages enemies. She kind of whips one of her ribbons out. If she when she whips them, it pushes them back a pretty significant distance. And if they collide with terrain when they do that, or unpathable areas like structures or walls or anything, they get a pretty hefty stun applied to them too. And they actually take bonus damage from that ability too. So you can use it, if someone's trying to engage on one of your allies, you can use it to whip them away. But if you want to engage on someone, or you're in a lane with some terrain around you, you can use it to engage on people too if they're out of position. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely a high skill capability. And then her heroics, she has Resurrect, which is a pretty long cooldown. It has a long channel time too, so it's not exactly, your mid combat, just get it off and resurrect an ally. And then she has Crystal Aegis, which is kind of the anti-dive heroic that we chose for her. She puts an ally in stasis, and then after I think it's a few seconds, they burst and then deal AoE damage around them, which is pretty significant. So that's kind of just the general overview of her kit. We can get into some more particulars as well.
Okay, and yeah, I just have one quick question on the Bestow Hope. Is that castable on herself or just allied heroes? Like if she has to go, clear a wave real quick.
So it's always applied to her. She
Okay.
just naturally, any damage, it's like 40% of damage she deals to heroes and something like 8% of damage to minions or mercs. That stores energy into her, her vessel or her well. And then if she applies it to an ally, which she should basically always have at all times, and they're in proximity of you, then they're applying that same amount, the 40% to heroes and 8% to minions, and then you're building your energy off that for your heal too.
Okay. And it says you can store up to 505 energy is the cap. Is that just baseline, or is that from level 1? Does that go up?
Yeah, I think that's the level 0 amount. Actually, I think that's what the website displays. I think the level 1 value is something like 525. Untalented at level 20, it's like 1100 or so. So it's pretty significant. Uther's is something like maybe 900, and that's just a single target, 950 or something maybe. So it's a pretty sizable AoE that she gets to target with that. So it's, you could hit all of your team with it really. But if you're hitting a couple people, that's a pretty massive swing. So, and then there's obviously talents that bolster that. You can increase that amount. You can recharge that amount faster based on, things happening in the game too.
Okay, absolutely. And I know a ton of people I can see are super excited about the no mana cost. That's something I know I wasn't expecting to see. So I'm super stoked about that.
Really cool.
But yeah, Ryan.
So, Claudio, I would be amiss if I didn't ask the question, why so long between support characters, and why Auriel specifically?
Okay, so support heroes are definitely something near and dear to me. That's basically my main. I don't really play anything aside from them. I don't know that we truly realized the desire for support heroes until we started seeing some of the discussions on, the online sources and all of the various questions that we were getting here. We had planned, to have a certain amount this year. We had some missteps along the way. Medivh was actually intended to be a support hero. We had tried his kit with a heal at one point, but ultimately we couldn't really get it to work out how we wanted to. So we decided to make him a specialist and more of a, he's unique in that he's the first real support specialist with tons of utility. So, but again, you can't main heal as him, so people don't view him in that support role. So we had a gap there, and we're gonna have another gap too before we get to another support hero. But I can assure you that in the coming while we have a significant amount of support heroes in the works
Yes.
because
Good.
we've learned a lot with the community and their desire to see them, and we know that people are excited for them and that they alone can change the meta in a lot of ways. So we want to help support that obviously as much as we can.
Awesome.
And then in terms of why I chose her, we have a plethora of heroes to choose from for heroes, as you can imagine. We can draw from any IP we want to. Unsurprisingly, we wanted another character in the game that started with the letter A because I don't think 5 or 6 or whatever we have is enough. So that was our first decision. But really, we want to bolster the Diablo support. We only have Kharazim, obviously. At least you have a couple options in StarCraft, and then we have an exorbitant number of Warcraft healers. That's just kind of how it works out. So we're going to try and fill those out where we can, but we definitely wanted to add another Diablo one before we added any others. So, she's the Archangel of Hope, right? Like, is there a more appropriate hero to turn into a support hero? So, and then also it was just a good community suggestion. If you look back, even just on Reddit, like 6 or 9 months, you'll actually see people upvoting and asking for Auriel as a hero in the game. And I don't know that we directly, took any suggestions. I don't even remember any of the suggestions for abilities or anything for her kit, but we really kind of gravitated towards that idea of using her in the game. And she's got, we have Tyrael as an angel, and angels are really popular in Blizzard lore. And she looks kind of like him in a way, but her silhouette is so unique because we were able to take advantage of these really cool ribbons, and we were able to build those into her kit. It just kind of it gives her this really cool look. It gives her really visceral abilities. The sound team did a really awesome job with it. I think you guys will fall in love with her just based on how well all of that meshes together. And just in general, I think that she's just going to do really good things.
Awesome. That is so good to hear. And it's awesome to hear that more supports are coming soon. Ish, kind of, at some point.
Ish,
I
yeah.
can support,
I'll
I can
take
support
any I
anyone.
can get.
I can support anyone who supports. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
For sure. So, okay, my question for you is, by the way, I love the idea of the Medivh healer. Let's bring that back.
Yeah.
But I know that as you guys are making characters all the time, you go through a bunch of iterations like that. So do you have any stories about, Auriel's development and how her kit has evolved over time?
Yeah, so I talked to Nathan, who is Nathan Lamouget is the designer for this hero. He made Artanis before this, and this is his first support hero. It's not exactly uncommon, but she basically carried 0% of her original kit over into what we've ended up pushing live, which is not uncommon at all. A lot of times we'll keep a piece or two, but more or less we can kind of identify early kind of the role or the style that we want the hero to play in. And she just had this really aggressive Valkyrie type hero. She would dive into the middle of a team. She would try and, get her combo off. She's kind of this Kerrigan with heals type healer. That didn't really go over so well. There's a lot of problems with it. Kerrigans tend to die. Like, they try and accomplish some goal of, like, annihilating one person in almost a second, or maybe 2 people. It just kind of depends. Or finishing off a couple heroes, and then she just kind of dies sometimes, and then your team kind of cleans up and finishes. When your support's the person to do that, it doesn't exactly scream. Usually take some flack from your team for it. We haven't seen a positive response to that. So, but we could really tell that the whole aggression equals healing thing was something that we wanted to latch onto. Just having that, we wanted to make like a targeted heal just to make it a little bit different. You can alt cast it on yourself, so you can still use it, in proximity to other people. But it does have a pretty decent range on it, so you can actually target it out. But yeah, we just want to make kind of an AOE healer who had some burst potential, and we wanted to build in that mechanic of aggression by yourself, dealing damage, aggression of whatever your bestowed hope ally is doing, is feeding your ability to heal your team and continue your aggression and keep going. It was just a really cool engine, and we just wanted to push her in that direction.
Very cool.
Excellent. So I don't know whenever you guys are going in with a new hero, if you're kind of building them around the current meta or whatnot, or if you just, want to build them without thinking of the rest of that. But where do you think she'll fit in the current meta, and what type of comps are you thinking she'll be good in? I know you've kind of talked about the aggressive dive style comps where there's some high output damage dealers going out that you can put that bestow on.
Yeah. So she definitely works well in that comp. She works really well in poke comps too. Like you get her with Lunaras. They're just, I mean, they do a lot of damage, right? And especially when she takes her trait, or sorry, her talent that lets her do more PvE damage, like that just feeds into your bestow hope stored energy even more. So it she works really well in that sense. She's got, I mean, it's really hard to build a hero for the meta because our pipeline is so long. It takes us 6 months or longer to build a hero, and a lot of times we've identified the next heroes that we're going to work on, but they're signed off, right? Like we're making this hero next, we're making Auriel next, but we won't have started her for several months longer. So I mean, we could be 6 months to a year out from when the hero might actually release to the public, and it's really hard to say what is the community doing in the meta right now, and what can we do to either stop it or support it, right? So it just happens to work out. She's staunchly anti-dive. Kerrigan is kind of good right now. We've changed some stuff for her today, which might knock her down a little bit, but we still expect her to be pretty good. Auriel's going to be great for that. Her Crystal Aegis is definitely a deterrent to dive heroes. It's extremely punishing. So yeah, I mean, anti-dive was really kind of the theme behind her. But yeah, she works great in high damage comps. Throwing Bestow Hope on your Jaina's and your Kael'thas's obviously creates a lot of healing energy for yourself, and then just poke comps with Lunara still work really well too.
Excellent.
Awesome. So I know this is kind of the part everybody's been hoping for. We got a little brief glimpse of some of her talent tiers in a Destructoid article, I believe it was. So why don't you tell us a little bit about her talent tree? What kind of build paths does she have? And I know, especially in the Reddit thread, somebody mentioned seeing her fly in Falstad fashion in the video. Is this a talent? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm going to start with that. It's I think it's called Angelic Flight. It's a level 20 talent, so she doesn't get it like from the beginning of the game or anything. It is rather powerful to have your support hero basically going wherever they want to, kind of like Falstad can. But it's going to be a good choice at that level in a lot of situations, and we obviously see Falstad use that everywhere, right? So for her to be able to teleport around with him, it's a pretty nice thing. But she's got a lot of builds. I mean, she has a Q build with her Sacred Sweep. Like, this is kind of the more reliable. I mean, it's not cookie cutter or like easy isn't even the right words. It's just reliable, right?
Sure.
Like I don't know if it's like the China Joy video. I don't know if we show it a whole lot or what, but Sacred Sweep's kind of slow, right? Like if you're on the money as the enemy, you can get out of the center of it just by, stepping up or down or whatever direction you need to get out of it. And if the center point doesn't hit you, she gains less healing off it, you take less damage from it. So you can definitely move around it, but she has talents that make that go faster. She has talents that make the sweep larger. It's a good introduction to her. I think a lot of people will probably play it early on. It'll be a good kind of new player build, and that doesn't mean it's not a good like veteran Auriel player build, but it'll just be one of the good early ones that you'll probably see. I think there's talents to make it go faster, so you can spam it more, and it's got kind of that. I mean, you have to think about it differently with her, right? Like the more you can spam your damage that doesn't cost you mana, fuels your heals, you heal more based off that. So the whole aggression tie into being able to use your Q to do more damage it's going to be a fun component to her for people too. And then there's a crazy talent that applies a blind to the heroes that are hit in the middle of it, and the blind I think lasts something like 4 seconds. So
Man,
you don't really want to get hit by that if you can
dang.
avoid it. So that'll be a great counter option depending on your enemy team comps and stuff. So uh, yeah, but that's kind of just an overview of like her Q build. She has a more involved build with her E. As you can imagine, for Detainment Strike, that it's not always going to be possible to hit your enemies into terrain or structures or anything to get that stun proc. It still does a good amount of damage, and a lot of times you're just using it for the whip knock aspect of it. But when you get the proc off, like there are talents that allow you to get it off more reliably. So players who really master Detainment Strike will be able to get just a lot of value out of it. You really have to work for it though. There's a crazy talent that allows her Detainment Strike to pierce. So if you can hit multiple enemies into structures or, lane objects or whatever and apply a stun to multiple, it's pretty devastating. So, and then there's some quest talents built around that to increase the damage on it, which fuels your trait, which lets you heal for more. So there's some really cool stuff for Detainment Strike. And then I was talking to Nathan a bit about this. She has kind of this, he calls it like it's the pro player build. It's based off like capping out like the amount of energy that she can get. She has a talent that allows her to store more energy, but I think you have to use like maximum heal value heals in order to increase that cap. So it's not the easiest thing to stack up because a lot of times you just need to blow your heal before it's at maximum.
Sure.
But theoretically, there's no upper limit to how bursty that heal can get because of that talent. So it can get extremely high. Like you could drop, 5,000 point AOE heal on 3 of your allies, and then you could do it again 6 seconds later or whatever, depending on the situation. So there's talents that let you gain energy based on the amount of damage that your target's taking. So, putting it on warriors makes a more intelligent choice if they're soaking a ton of damage and you're gaining like 25% healing off of that damage they're taking. So that'll fill up your heal, energy really fast. So it's just like the average. I would say the average player or the below average player, or maybe even slightly above average player, is not. They're not going to be dropping 5,000 point heals on 3 or 4 people like within 3 or 4 seconds or whatever, like constantly. Like you have to have this kind of unshakable confidence in your ability to do that. And I think pro players are going to be able to do that, and some grandmaster players, master players, whatever. But it'll be cool to see those living the dream moments posted on Reddit. They'll be on there. You see the living the dream like Mighty Gust moments, right? With like, or divine palm moments. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff that shows up on our forums and whatnot. But you'll see Auriel on there for sure.
Awesome. One good question from chat: does she have cleanse at level 7?
I don't think so.
Oh, so no cleanse.
I don't think she has cleanse. I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't.
Okay. That's just kind of interesting information to know. I was just smiling the whole time. I love aggressive supports. Rhaegar is one of my favorite, and so having another one where I can get in and doing damage is actually encouraged is super awesome.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question for you actually is about the ult design, because we've seen, with a lot of these characters, actually a lot of the supports have this issue where, one ult is favored over the other quite a bit. And so I was just going to kind of ask, how are these two used? Like, what are the intelligent situations in which you'd use them? And specifically, what's the best case for using Resurrection? Like, do you have to play it really safe, or how does it work in general?
Sure. So, support heroics are a pretty difficult beast to tackle. I mean, a lot of times we tested it internally too. When you give support heroes two true support heroics, like say you give them both healing heroics or whatever, players just eventually will find like the better one, right? Like they'll gravitate towards the better one. So you'll even see that discrepancy in pick rates internally if we're trying stuff out, because it's easier to use or it does more. I mean, we can bounce around those things, but there's always kind of the better one, and the other one gets shunned. So players just naturally gravitate towards the ones that fills the role better, right? So so we gave her 2 pretty situational heroics. Kind of the design behind this was making it so that you wouldn't really be taking the same heroic every game, right? Like just always choosing resurrect is not ever going to be the right choice. Like that's the idea behind it. It better not be, but we can always balance around it if it's not. But we don't want you to. We don't want there always to be the right choice, right? So some games, Crystal Aegis, if you're playing against dive heavy comps, or you have a Chromia on your team and she doesn't really have an escape, but you need to protect her. Those are situations for that. Resurrect is definitely, I think people are already commenting on it. It seems like just a win more heroic, which is, I mean, it's kind of true. Like that's just kind of due to the case you can't really cast it mid battle. I think it's like a 3-second channel time or something. So not quite like tribute channeling length, but there's going to be abilities for teams to easily disrupt that if they can deal damage to you. Ideally, you're going to win a fight. Maybe you'll have lost a couple people. Maybe they'll have lost a couple people, or they'll have lost someone more important to you. Maybe they're healer or something, and you can kind of push them out, and then you can resurrect your ally, and then you can continue to go take whatever map objective you were doing, or you can push down a fort or a keep or whatever the situation was. So yeah, I mean, resurrect it's going to be a challenge to get off, just where it's balanced right now, but that's the intent. The intent is not like a battle res, mid battle, just here you dumped everything into this hero, we instantly resurrected them, and now you've spent your heroics or other cooldowns to try and take someone out. So that's definitely not the design intent behind it.
So she's not Mercy from Overwatch, you're saying?
Yeah, she's not Mercy from Overwatch, so fear not there, and she's not resurrecting your entire team, and her level 20
Sure.
her level 20 is not resurrecting your entire team. It's still just one person. It just heals them. I think the base amount's like 50%, and they get all their mana back, and I think the level 20 upgrade is like it gives you 100% of your health back, and it gives you like an insane speed bonus, like 200% for 4 or 5 seconds or something.
Dang.
So
Cool.
it's pretty crazy to see. You'll know it when you see it because heroes don't naturally move that fast. But it's cool. Yeah, Resurrect's awesome. You can usually it's obviously good to have some of your heals stored up for that moment too. So when I come back, you can just heal them to full. You can throw Bestow Hope on them. They're super jazzed. Like, who's not jazzed about getting resurrected after dying and staring at a 50-second res timer or something, right? So it's a pretty empowering moment that you can really kind of change the mentality of your team or the teammate that fell, and I don't know, it's cool. You guys you'll really like it.
So kind of around that, with how resurrection works. So when someone dies as Auriel, do you see like a little ghost of them or a spot where you can channel on?
Yeah, they're actually our little ghosts. So, and they have
Ghosts.
little countdown timers next to them, so you know how long. You don't have to like look up at the UI bar to see what's remaining on their death timer or anything.
Okay, so you can go back anytime they're still dead.
Yeah.
Even say after the team fight, there's no like you need to res them within 15 seconds or something. They could have 30 seconds left. You could run back to the spot or fly if you take the awesome level 20 talent and then just res them.
Yeah. So
so cool.
If you lose someone in like top lane or something and it's late in the game, you could fly up there, res them, and then do something with that. Yeah. So it's a long cooldown though. It's like 90 seconds. So if someone's got 10 seconds left, 10 seconds could totally be worth it, especially if you're saving them all the time running across the map. There's, it could totally be worth it, but yeah, like it's generally really nice for those later game situations where those death timers really start stacking up.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're getting close to our time. I was going to ask you just a little bit more about Ray of Heaven, Bestow Hope. So is there a cooldown to Bestow Hope, like how fast you can switch it between damage dealers?
Yeah, it's really fast. It's like a second and a half, I think. So yeah, you can constantly flip flop it. So if you're 3 laning in mid or something and your Kael'thas dies, you can totally just switch it over to Vala or something if she's right next to you. So you're not married to that person for minutes at a time or something. You're changing it frequently. So
what's the range on that then? That you can actually still get the stacks from it.
It's definitely like, you mean what proximity do they have to be to?
Yeah. What proximity do you have to be to the person you put it on?
I actually don't know the exact range. It's basically, I mean, it's definitely direct proximity, right? Like you can't send someone top or bottom to gank and still be gaining healing energy off of them. Like they have to be in your direct proximity. It's not like, hey, make sure that they're right next to you, but if they're in the same lane as you and they're dealing damage in there, you'll gain energy from it.
Okay, that's cool. Is there any other cool little tidbits or teasers you wanted to give people about Auriel before you guys have to get out of here?
I mean, not really. Like we have it's going to be, there's a responsibility on the community to use Crystal Aegis correctly, I would say.
It could be kind of trolly.
There's some troll potential with that heroic, unintentional or intentional. We've had situations where ETC is getting off the perfect mosh with 4 people, but Auriel sees an ETC that's surrounded by 4 people and thinks he's going to die, so she Aegises him just as his mosh pit is starting. Those aren't the best. There's also situations that you'll resurrect like a Leoric, and it'll raise eyebrows on your team while you're using it on a hero that can already nullify his death cooldown. So I mean she's like I said, there's definitely some responsibility with her heroics, but I think the community's really gonna like her, and she can totally solo support. She's gonna change some things up.
Good.
Perfect.
That's so awesome.
Very cool.
I know the one last thing. I don't know if you can tell us or not, but do you guys have a release date for her yet?
Yeah. So she's gonna hit PTR next week. We're hoping that should be Monday. Things can happen. It may not be Monday, maybe
Sure.
Tuesday or whatever. But and then she'll be out following the week after that. So a couple weeks away, we get a new support hero, and it's gonna she's gonna shake things up, and we can't wait to see her flying around and doing crazy things.
Well,
I know
perfect.
what I'm going to be doing all next week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be on the PTO.
we'll make
Sorry,
sure to
people.
test her.
Yeah,
Sorry, people
support
on
players
live
rejoice.
server.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone does such a good job with that. We found a ton of bugs from our Gul'dan PTR. Auriel is going to have a PTR. Definitely continue contributing to that, because we turn so many bugs around as a result of that. I think we did like 30 or more in the last one, and that's not uncommon at all. So you may not see it in the patch notes. We definitely can make balance changes as a result of the patch notes too. So, and we find critical bugs all the time. So please keep testing. It helps us out so much, and the early feedback really puts into motion any potential changes that we might want to consider making for kind of that 2-week balance patch after a hero's release. So it gives us a lot of early considerations too. So those are all really good things that you guys help out with.
Perfect. Well, we know that you got to get out of here. Just one more time, thank you so much for joining us, giving us some more insights on her. I know a lot of people are excited about her. I know people are pumped about the no mana. She overall just sounds like a blast. Her animations look great. I'm super excited to see what the sound files sound like, and we're just super stoked. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was a great opportunity. I really appreciate it.
And we'll have to see if we can get you in here for the next support, since there's more coming out. So no.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna get a little worse before it gets better. But you guys will be excited for the next support too. I can promise you that.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you very much again, and have a great evening, Claudio. And
You too.
we'll see you later.
Cool. You guys too. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Auriel hype, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm so excited. Oh my god.
Yeah, real quick. What are the big things you guys took away from that?
No mana?
Yes.
No mana?
Right.
That was unexpected.
Right off the bat. That's awesome. I'm super glad he said, they're expecting her to be playable as a solo support. Sounds like, there's some talent builds and stuff you can go to have ridiculous healing numbers. I don't know if the 5,000 was literal or just kind of a little bit of an exaggeration.
Someone's going to test it now, though.
Yeah.
But
Test it. Yeah, because one of my initial worries, just from seeing, her videos and stuff, where she looked kind of more utility, Tyrande-ish, more healy than Tassadar. Well, I say that, but Tassadar is excellent right now. So I'm super stoked for that, and it sounds like we're going to be seeing her real soon. It means a spotlight video should be coming out
Right?
sometime
I know.
soon.
She has a fly.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think this. I think this is way too understated. She has a fly at level 20.
I mean, she does have
Like,
wings. It makes sense.
It does make sense, but
Mhm.
that is just freaking awesome.
So cool.
So you're just gonna look up and you're gonna see Falstad and her flying across the map in unison together. It'll
Yeah.
be wonderful.
Perfect.
Absolutely wonderful. And I think the other big thing, the other big takeaway a lot of people will be interested in is she probably doesn't have cleanse.
Right.
Yes. Well, he said she didn't have cleanse. They've been talking about
be interesting
adding
if
it
they have
into
another talent
talents.
instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that. And yes, the level there is a level 20 talent if you guys missed it that gives her a global kind of like Falstad-esque, but it is at level 20, so don't expect to be doing that whole game.
But still, that's a time in the game where it could be really important. So that's significant.
Yeah.
That she gets it even then.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we got some more stuff to talk about. We got the PTR that came out. We got some stuff going on in the tournament scene, balance patch, things like that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and hop right on into it. TBK, what do we got going on in the store sales this week? I know we have a new skin that entered this last week.
Yes. So real quick, Diablo, Lurkablo Diablo, and Vampire Slayer Vala are all on sale this week. And then the Mystic Kingdoms Arthas went live yesterday. And if you have not seen the video for it, holy crap. The statue that they made in honor of this skin, they released a video of that, I think, yesterday. Incredible. Just like, it's like a 14-foot tall Arthas.
So cool.
Like it's just awesome. You need to go watch that. We'll have a link in the show notes and stuff, but it's pretty sweet.
Perfect. And multi real quick on the free hero rotation. What do we got going this week?
Oh, we've got some good ones. We've got Lili, ETC, Zagara, The Butcher, Leoric, Tychus, Azmodan at account level 5, Brightwing at 7, Chromie at 12, and Rexar at 15. So can't go wrong there. There's a few that you don't see very often in Rexar and certainly Chromie. So, I mean, I imagine there are probably people out there who haven't tried one of those two, and now's your chance to, for sure.
Yeah. And Chromie got a little bit of love here in the balance changes, so we'll see if that
That's
helps. TBK, tournament talk. What do we got going on the professional scene? I know we got some big cheer league news coming up. So
Yes, so Chair League Finals, D3 through Pro League, are taking place this Saturday, July 30th. I believe the games start at like 10 a.m. Pacific, I believe. And then they're in 2-hour blocks. So D3 is first, then D2, then D1, and then Pro League Finals. I will actually be casting the D1 Finals with Inverum. So that'll be a ton of fun. And that's going to be at 2 Pacific, 4 Central. So if you are rooting for somebody or just want to come out for some really good games, I mean, Chair League is just awesome. Been having a ton of fun with it this season. The next season starts up here in a month and a half or so. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I'm actually casting some the last playoff qualifiers tonight at 9 as well with Inverum. So it'll be really good. There's been a lot of quality games out of that this season. Okay, so the Heroes qualifier number 3 for Burbank was not without its own fun set of NA controversy this last weekend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so team name change and Astro Authority were crowned the winners, only to have Astral Authority disqualified for using a Tyrael exploit, and then requalified like an hour before the other 2 teams were supposed to play their makeup game. So there was just a whole lot of drama. Lots and lots of drama. It was crazy. Mistakes were made on all sides. I don't want to necessarily get into like right, wrong, who did good, who did bad,
Pointing
whatever.
fingers
But
and that sort of
yeah, mistakes were made. There's some blame to go around on all sides. It was very unfortunate. I really hope this is kind of a takeaway lesson for ESL to make sure to clarify things better earlier
Yep.
so that they don't have to roll back decisions they made while two teams are waiting to play a redo game and have a very short time in between. So it's definitely a you need to learn from this for the future type thing, because we do not want this kind of thing happening again. So the fall regional, though, that all these teams have been qualifying for will take place Friday, August 5th, and then that Saturday and Sunday as well. The rounds will be played. So this is for the $100,000 prize pool, top 8 teams, and this is the one that Naventic and Galeforce got the invite to automatically. So I'm excited to see some pro play. We've got some new names. Vox Nihili and Crescendo, which is King Caffeine Glaurong, KO's new team. So, or K1 Pro's new team. So there's lots of awesome talent, awesome potential. I can't wait to watch those games. They're going to be absolutely fantastic. And then finally, Panda Global surprised everybody yesterday by announcing they'll be launching a new in-house competitive ladder next month for Heroes of the Storm players. Dubbed the Panda Pro Ladder, the new pickup league will invite every player that has competed offline during both the summer and fall circuits, as well as all 500 players currently in Grandmaster. At the end of 6 weeks, top point earners based on the client-side matchmaking rating will win peripherals and gear from Panda Global sponsors. And they will also be featuring weekly games on Panda Global's Twitch channel, and it will act as kind of a way for more amateur casters to get some experience and kind of get some exposure. So that's really cool. Good job, Panda Global.
Yeah, exactly. This is, there's a lot of those leagues out there right now. Really, they're just good for the community, especially in NA right now. It's hard to break into the scene. We're kind of getting to where we're needing, let's get some more focus on some up and coming players out there. Work on getting more of those sponsorships to come back.
Yeah,
because
sure.
We need more.
Sponsorships are good.
All right. Well, the balance patch came out today, and there have been some changes. We talked about last week kind of the ones we were expecting on Kerrigan, Nazeebo, Greymane, Falstad, and whatnot. But there were a lot touched on. First off, Chromie, her Slowing Sands got just a slight buff. The mana cost reduced from 4 to 2. That was never an issue anyways.
But now it's really not an issue.
Yeah, now it's even less of an issue. But the slow has been increased from 50% after 5 seconds, from 50% to 60%. And then she also got some talent buffs for Mobius Loop, Chrono Sickness, and whatnot. But you guys can make sure to check that out. Falstad. This one saddens me a little bit just because he's been one of my boys. He still will be. But Mighty Gust's movement speed has been nerfed from 60 to 40%, and the movement decay time reduced from 5 to 4 seconds. And then also, I think the other one we were expecting to see, his Gathering Storm power has been reduced from 2 damage per hero hit to 1.5. So
I wonder if that built a little bit.
Yes, and it needed to happen. Things could get absolutely ridiculous late game with that. It'll still be strong. Mighty Gust still going to have its place. It's an incredible ult. So, yeah, not too bad. TBK Greymane. I'll let you tackle him.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit before. They basically, for the most part, just rolled back the buffs that they did to him last patch. And I don't think this surprises anybody because he was already in a pretty good spot. And they just made him insanity. So they rolled back his Worgen form damage from 50 to 40%. They did reduce the range on Go for the Throat. They left the extra damage and the extra cooldown, but they reduced the range you can use it at. And then they also further reduced the cooldown of Mark for the Kill from 50 to 40 seconds. So I've been playing around with it a little bit. The new one's kind of interesting. You don't get the jump to them still after you use it, but it could be pretty decent. And 40 seconds is fairly tempting. That is a very short ult cooldown for a big vulnerability. So I'll have to play around with that a little more for sure.
Yep.
For sure. So I'll take Gul'dan real quick because it's kind of funny when you look at his changes here. It is a buff, but it's a pretty slight one overall. Like there's some number stuff, and it kind of reminds me of when you get one new piece of gear in World of Warcraft. It's like he just got a new set of bracers or something because he got a little more health regen, a little more damage. Some of his talents are changed up. I'll let you guys check out most of them, but most interestingly, I think, is the Fell Flame Q, just flat out damage increase from 181 to 200. And I mean, it doesn't sound like a huge numerical difference really, but when you can consider the fact that this is an ability that can splash onto, I guess, the entire enemy team if they're stacked up enough, it's going to be significant. Really raise his numbers a little bit, I think. So I'm
Especially with the low cooldown.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll change up your builds on him and make you go Q a little bit more too.
Yeah, and I just played a game with him before the show tonight, and you can definitely tell a nice little difference in that queue.
Cool.
I still went the E build, but I'll definitely have to test that out. I still think he's a super fun hero to play. We'll see whether or not these changes have effect on his main build we're seeing, and if he bumps him up in that win rate a little bit, which hopefully he does. Kael'thas, Living Bomb, damage over time reduced from 50 to 40. So he's continuing to just get a little bit nerfs here. But Kerrigan. Oh,
Poor
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan.
So base health, yeah.
We knew this was going to happen, though.
Yes.
We did.
It's not really the changes I was expecting. Her base health decreased from 1848 to 1680. And health regeneration decreased as well from 3.95 to 3.64. But on top of that, some talents, Sharpening Blades, damage reduced from 30 to 25, Psionic Pulse, damage reduced from 24 to 20, and then Bladed Momentum, cooldown reduction reduced from 0.75 to 0.6. So
they basically nerfed her strong build that was overpowered and rolled back most of her health.
Yes, but I was really hoping they would just touch on her shields a little bit, because I still felt like, early game and stuff, you had to be really careful with her. She's squishy. It was the late game, the shields becoming a big problem. And now, it's just going to make her that much more squishy early game. I have not been able to test her out yet, but we'll see.
Because this did just come out like a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would be lying if I didn't say I was a little sad about it, but it's where she was at was not a good place. It wasn't good for the game.
She went to first ban material like instantly as soon as that patch came out.
Yeah, I would rather this happen and then them build her back up slightly than them have left her how she was. So that's good. TBK, some Brightwing.
Yeah, so I guess our little evil Nexus Dragon, Fairy Dragon, was doing a little too good after last patch, because they nerfed some of her stuff again. Her base heal got decreased a little, 120 to 115. Her trait, her level 1 talent for her trait, Unfurling Spray, it reduced the range on Soothing Mist from 33 to 20% bigger. Level 7 Mystified talent for her trait, cooldown reduction from casting abilities reduced from 0.75 to 0.5, so that's a decent nerf on that too. And then ability damage reduction on her shield dust at level 13 was reduced from 50 to 40%. So, I mean, a lot of people are still going shield build anyways. Part of the thing that made her so strong with this last patch was that her trait, the extra heal they put on it, was significant. So I don't think this will take her out completely. She still retains some of the buffs she got last patch, but it's just toned down some. It's hard to really say without playing around with her, but I don't think this is going to really significantly change how I was playing her before, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Medivh. nothing huge here. Portal's now easier to click. Possible problem.
Hooray!
Hooray! It's easier to accidentally click that now, and I didn't mean to.
I thought you were going to say he got his heel back. I got really excited for a second there.
And
The move
then,
with the heel would be really interesting.
yeah. And cooldown on using Portal been reduced from 0.5 to 0.25, which is nice. Makes him even harder to kill now. But Nazebo. So this is one of the ones that we're expecting some large changes, talent changes, stuff. They have not hit yet. All that happened this patch was Gargantuan getting basic attack damage reduced from 151 to 130. So
It is
Zool had a
possible.
couple.
It is possible because as Claudio mentioned, we are getting an Auriel PTR next week, and so it is possible we'll see because they usually don't do PTRs when they do other big changes at the same time. At least historically, that's how it's been. So it's possible we may see some sort of Nazebo talent rework in that PTR because I know at least they've been mentioning it for quite a while.
yeah. And then Multi, I know you said you've been playing some Zool on your specialist, so I'll let you tackle
I
that.
have, and I've been playing Zool because his pushing power is insane, especially in this new sort of hashtag rise of the specialist meta where you can really get some work done pushing lanes with the minions doing extra damage. And they address that directly in the developer comments under Zool here on the patch notes. They're just saying that, with the increased power of minions, Zool is even stronger now, and he's been a strong pick for some time. And so I'm not going to go through all the numbers on this, but one is definitely notable. The skeletons, the actual ones that you resurrect from minions that you kill, their damage has been reduced from 30 to 23. And that's pretty significant, really, when you consider that it's a wave's worth of them. So that adds up pretty quick. And yeah, they say in the developer comments that along with some of these other slight nerfs that he received, are aiming to just nerf them to where you aren't getting the same kind of push potential out of him, which to me is the point of playing Zool. So I haven't gotten a chance to hop in yet today, but I'm a little hesitant to. I think he's still going to be okay, but yeah.
Yep.
He took a hit.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, the specialist hits that we're seeing, possibly in reaction to minions, the minion buff that we're seeing going on now, maybe split pushing potential has just been a little too heavy. Zagara, also her infested drop reduced from 166 to 155, with the creep radius on Nidus Network also from 25 to 15. And then her level 1 talent Infest, the initial damage buff to range minions reduced from 200 to 150. So
Probably a good thing.
yes,
Infest was insane.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
Zagara is actually one of the few I have not. I still haven't checked her out since her changes.
She's a lot of fun.
No, yeah, and I've heard a lot of good things about her, so I'm gonna have to hop in there and check that. The
sure.
only warrior that we saw some changes to is Artanis, and his health has been increased from 2,245 to 2,470, and his health regen got a nice little increase from 4.6 to 5.1, and then level 7 warp sickness slow amount increased from 30 to 35%. So yeah, and our developer comments, Artanis asked for some buffs, aka Trixler asked for some buffs.
Hashtag blame
Probably.
Trixler.
And he's a pretty chill guy, Trixler, so they gave him to him. There it is. It happened.
That'd be interesting. That's a big buff.
Yes.
That
It
is
actually
a
is.
huge health buff. He was hard to kill before, so this will be interesting. That's a pretty significant health buff.
Yes. And also, for those just joining us, we'll have some time at the end here to go over some more Auriel and stuff. And if you guys have any more questions, because I am super excited about Auriel right now, and I could honestly talk about her for the rest of the night.
Time.
But
Oh yeah.
but we have other responsibilities.
Other
responsibilities. So TBK, real quick, what do you got going on for your community content shout out this week?
Oh, I did want to mention one more thing on the patch notes because this is fairly significant to people. They fixed collision. I know a lot of people were having issues with that this last patch, like people being able to push Leoric out of his entomb. Just like that feels bad, man. So heroes can no longer be pushed by walking another hero into them. That's good. Heroes who are channeling an ability can no longer be pushed when another hero walks into them during the channel. That's good too. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming out in this kind of balanced hotfix patch. As far as community content shout out goes, I've got 2 right now. So this one's kind of interesting. I saw this on Reddit, and it's entitled "Reconnect System is incredibly fast now." Very happy with it. Well done. So I haven't gotten to test this out yet because I honestly just don't disconnect that often. But at least we're getting some reports of some people saying that since this last patch, the reconnect has been significantly faster. And by significantly faster, it's like down to a few minutes to reconnect now versus like 10 or 15, which is a huge improvement. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. I mean, if you look at reconnect systems in the other game, they need to be, the loading bar finishes for your computer, splash screen of the map, and then you're right back in the game.
Yeah.
But
If you want to test it, TBK, I could just drive over there right now and unplug your computer
just
for you.
unplug my internet.
And then just plug it back in, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be testing that too. So if you have feedback on that, please let us know, because that'd be really interesting to see if kind of across the board where people are seeing better reconnect times. I mean, any extra or any less time reconnecting is good, right?
Yes.
Because it's just long right now, and it's definitely not optimal. But we'll take what we can get for now, and then we'll just keep telling Blizzard to keep improving it.
It also just shows they're working on it. So
Yes,
there you
I still want my quit game for customs instead of just having the choice to not reconnect. Although, I guess you can
quit now.
choose to not reconnect faster than before. Yeah.
And then, secondly, this is kind of new information that just started coming out this morning, I believe. New auto select options are coming soon. Playing as auto select in Quick Match now awards 100% bonus XP, so that's cool. But starting in early August, you'll have the option to create a favorite list containing your preferred heroes and/or roles that Quick Match auto select will choose from.
that's so cool.
That's awesome.
So cool.
That is really cool.
I'm really excited. I'm imagining they'll have you pick at least one from each role, just so it can.
I mean, it did
So they
say
can fill it out.
roles.
Yes.
So you might be able to select, I just want to be a specialist.
Yeah, but
Give me a specialist.
I mean, you could work the system too easy, I feel like, on that, and it wouldn't be helping the Quick Match team comps like this, I think, is intended.
That's how it seems to be worded.
But yeah, we'll see. But it is really cool that
Preferred heroes
it's
and
at least
roles.
something being worked on.
I like the idea of the preferred heroes, though, just because, this is going to be the best way to work toward your master skin, really, with that 100% bonus XP. So to be able to pick a few that you want the skin on, kind of, and just select them and have it choose from those, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. We do have, before we get back to the aerial stuff, a listener question we want to get to this week. Multi, what do we got?
Let's go really quick. It's from Freakazord, and he asks, what are some new ideas for new maps with new types of objectives, and when can we expect new maps? Now, that second question, we're getting a little close to BlizzCon at this point, so I would be happy to see one between now and then, but I'd be a little surprised, don't you guys think? Maybe we'll get something big at BlizzCon, though? Or do you think we really could get
Gamescom's
something?
coming up.
That's true.
So we could
That is
see
true.
something there, but
I'd be surprised if we didn't see something at Gamescom, honestly.
yeah, I don't know map-wise, but I mean, I think we'll definitely... how far away is Gamescom?
It's like mid-August.
It's mid-August? Okay, so I imagine we will hear at least one new hero before then, but then they may announce 2 or 3 from there. I don't know, possibilities, maps, updates on... I can't even think of the game, Arena. So we'll see. But as far as the question, new ideas for maps and whatnot, I know TBK. This is gonna hurt you. This is gonna make you sad a little
Oh,
bit.
no. Why?
But I think I still think we'll see Ragnaros as a map objective instead of a
No!
hero.
No,
He'll be a hero.
Ragnaros
I don't
needs
know.
to be a freaking hero.
I'm
I
with
think
you.
there's a possibility.
Needs to be a freaking hero.
But it's thank goodness I'm not a map objective designer because I spent some time thinking about this week and it's really hard. And Ragnaros was the easiest for me. Of course, we want a StarCraft map too, but something about Ragnaros being in middle top map or something. Incorporate his meatballs rolling down lanes. I don't know what the objective would be, but as long as there's Ragnaros meatballs and him coming out of his pit with his see his shoes lift up his little fire skirt. I don't know. Mine's not very exciting.
He needs to be a hero.
Mine's pretty
What
exciting.
do you got?
All right, so we had the big, Battlefield of Eternity event with Diablo, and so we've grown to assume that we're going to get one of those for each of their IPs at some point. And God knows Overwatch needs one. So I think that if we had some Overwatch matches or maps rather that actually had the same kind of objectives as you see in Overwatch, I don't know how they would make payload work in Heroes and that sort of thing. But when I started thinking about that, some of them really might work a little bit.
Actually, the payload idea could be really cool for a map objective.
Yeah.
Like that could be the objective itself. You having to like a payload just spawns in the middle of a lane or something, and you have to push that to like a little tug of war type thing.
And then there's
Like
the,
mine
offense
carts.
and
What's
defense and-
what's the Warcraft battleground with the mine carts?
There's a couple now, I think. There's that.
Uh,
There's the one in the mine, and then there's also that really weird, stupid panda one.
the
where they're
outdoor,
outside.
the outdoor one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see something like that for an Overwatch themed map. TBK.
Other than just saying again that Ragnaros is going to be a hero, Greg.
Yeah.
I would say we know StarCraft maps are coming. This has been said multiple times. So I very much expect a StarCraft map to be one of the next maps. I could definitely see a really cool Zerg mechanic, like summoning a Zerg swarm or something like that, being one of the map mechanics, which would be kind of cool. You could do something with like random spawns or like events where you have swarms of stuff that maybe, I don't know, attack both bases, or you do something to summon like specific, you could summon stuff at specific lanes, which would be kind of cool because that would add some strategy to, okay guys, this lane's vulnerable right now, let's summon it at top lane. Or we need strong push bottom, and that'll be a good split to keep their attention. Let's summon at bottom lane and then push top lane ourselves.
That kind of
So-
reminds me of my old idea of a Hearthstone map where you're dropping cards in different spots of the map. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean that's kind of what I envision when I think of StarCraft map. And since I know StarCraft map is happening at some point, I think that could be kind of a cool objective.
For sure. All right, guys. So we have some time left. This show's been a little out of the ordinary just because we were fortunate enough to have that interview today. Even though we wish we could have had him for the entire show.
I know.
And talk about him.
And he probably could have talked the entire show too, which
Oh,
is
I feel
awesome.
like he could, yeah.
That dude knows his stuff.
Yes. So in the 30 minutes we had, though, again, we were able to get a lot of good information from him. I know there's some things you guys were asking that we didn't have time to confirm, but let's get back to her just a little bit here. And again, this is going to be kind of different than our other shows, open format. We got through everything we needed to. If you guys have any more questions about Auriel, feel free to post them in here. Obviously, we can't
Cho'Gall,
tell anything that
Auriel.
we don't know. Cho'Gall, Auriel.
Cho'Gall, Auriel
Shogun
synergy.
Auriel synergy would be nuts, probably. Especially if those heals get as big as Claudio made us think. And if the Auriel player can get them off in such a short succession like that, resurrecting a Cho'Gall and then healing him back up could just get disgusting, I think. That'll be really interesting.
I saw somebody asking because people that missed the interview, which again, the VOD will get up tonight. audio, if you're already listening to this, if it's audio, and it'll be up tomorrow.
Basically, as soon as the stream ends, the Twitch VOD
Yes.
is available.
But I saw some people asking because they came in late about the flight she has. That is at level 20. So I imagine we didn't ask if she can mount, but I would imagine yes, she can mount
I would
because
assume
that's
so.
not at 20, or that's not like a built-in thing.
You know, I was just thinking, just like Cho'Gall, because I'm still stuck on the Cho'Gall thing. Because I would love it if Cho'Gall could be enabled in competitive play. Because Cho'Gall technically, because if you throw, so her trait is the Bestow Hope, and you get stacks for yourself. And for those of you that didn't hear, she's no mana. It's just cooldown based, and then Holy Power based. Based on the damage you do, you gain Holy Power or the energy, and then you can put your Bestow Hope on another allied hero, and if you stay fairly close to them, you get Holy Power from their attacks as well. So if you're talking a Cho'Gall,
Right.
do you get the Holy Power from Cho and Gall's damage? I think you would.
Or are you able to target their heads?
I think that would be a little.
I think that'd be
Too hard
yeah,
to clip.
I bet you get the damage from both.
That would
Which-
be a bit crazy.
He was talking about a scaling heal talent that you could build up higher and higher if you didn't use it. And so to me, Cho'Gall would be the perfect person to use in synergy with that talent, because he'd be doing so much more damage than a single player would. If Bestow Hope actually counts towards all the damage that both Cho and Gall are doing, you could ramp that up super high to get some crazy heals.
Yeah. Sapiros asking if he understands correctly that her only healing ability is dependent on her holy power. If she has no holy power, can she heal? Yes, that is correct, but it sounds like, I mean, her holy power at level 0, I think the trait was 550. But if whoever you bestow, 80%, was it 80% or 40%?
40%
of the damage done,
and 8 to non.
yeah, is going up. So that thing's going to fill up pretty fast here.
Well,
he-
and you're filling it off your own abilities
Yes,
too. That
and your own.
exact same trait is applied to you constantly. That I found interesting because I didn't really think that was something you can really get from just reading over the kit.
Yeah,
so
that's-
she has that passive herself and gives it to someone else.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and like he said, there's going to be, builds. He said what was it? It's professional or competitive player build to where you're just going to be able to pull off some insane heals. He said 5,000. I don't know if I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. But
Yeah.
he did say she will be able to solo support.
So Cold asked what if that trait is used with a hero that has an Abathur symbiote on him? I would assume, Cold, that you would not get the extra stacks from the Abathur, as the symbiote is counted separately from the hero, and so you'd still probably only get the stacks from the hero you put that on, and not the extra Abathur on top of that specifically.
But there would be other ways to stack that up. Like, think about someone really good with Stim Drone and this on them. Like, you could ramp up that damage quicker by doing other ability synergies for sure. So there's stuff to experiment with out there for sure.
He said the heal is on a Ray of Heaven because it's an AoE heal, and he said it's got a pretty long range, and it's on a 4-second cooldown. So just like Multi said, if you get somebody that has Stim Drone or something on, you could foreseeably be throwing out fairly decent sized AoE heals and then getting that stacked right back up. I mean, this sounds ridiculous because it'd be a double support comp, but Bloodlust Rhaegar team, please.
But as far as concerns
trying.
to that large heal we were talking about, somebody said better than Rhaegar ult. He did say it would be extremely difficult to get your heal to be that powerful. I know he mentioned along the lines of there being talents to where you have to max out your power or whatever before you use it in order for it to get increased. So that means not healing for probably a little while.
trading some of your overall just healing throughout the
Yeah.
game for bigger heals
So
later.
it's gonna make you have a lot more tough decisions. So it's not gonna be an easy thing to do. I think the skill cap on that particular build is gonna be pretty decent.
But like you said, the pro players are going to find a way to maximize this sort of thing, and we'll see some insane healing out of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Claudio and thinking that she's going to totally change up the meta.
Yeah. Does that mean Morales will be outdated? No, I don't think so. It's tough to say till she's in here, but I think they're still gonna have their comps and stuff they go well with. What was the other one I saw? Do you think she'll do well with burst mages like Li Ming and Jaina, since she can stack her trait quickly, and at level 16 her trait can give ability power? Yes, I do. Also, just because Claudia was mentioning her kind of being anti-dive, which we're seeing a lot of right now, which dive teams can be very strong against mage teams. So that could be really good for her, whether, it sounds like in that circumstance you would probably go more, what's her, not Resurrection.
Crystal Aegis
ult,
Mm-hmm,
to save your mages. But who knows? It's going to be really interesting. I haven't been this I don't think I've ever been this excited for a support hero.
I
Oh,
know,
me either.
I'm super pumped. And to those people who are worried about her not having cleanse, we didn't go into the full talent tree. There's a complete possibility that she has a talent at some point that does something similar to a cleanse. Like we know Karazim's got a talent like that.
Yeah, we did not
that's on its
clarify.
W.
We just asked if she had cleanse specifically.
Yeah,
And because
so
of time
there's-
restraints,
it's
we weren't
quite
able to go
possible.
further into that.
Yeah, it's quite possible she has some sort of ability that does something similar to cleanse in another talent somewhere. We don't know until the full talent tree is released.
For sure. But just
And
in-
even if she doesn't have cleanse, it seems like she's the type that could get in there and do enough damage to justify maybe even another support on your team. Like, you'd get a lot of healing out of her, but there's, no reason you couldn't take a second one, especially someone like Tyrande or somebody that could just add a little CC and smaller heals alongside it. I think there's all kinds of comps she could work in.
Yeah. Man, her. So I don't know if you guys have seen videos yet. They've released a few, and I know some of you are asking for wanting to see. We didn't have any exclusive video or anything to show tonight. Just stuff that they had already released. But if you haven't seen her animations yet, they are gorgeous. Her skins are amazing. One of the questions I was wanting to ask him, we didn't have time, was, so they've talked about a lot silhouette being one of the things they think about when they think of a hero. I think they said playability, fun, flavor, and silhouette being a big one. Hence the whole Nova Widowmaker thing. She looks a lot
Right.
like Tyrael. However, I think
does.
they did a good job. The wings are very different.
And the
And
ribbons,
like the ribbons,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jinx.
But Tyrael's clothes have ribbons on it and stuff, but I think it's the wings that are, first glance going to definitely give it away. They're much more shaped like wings instead of just floating little ribbons coming out of his back.
Sure.
But wait, if you have both of them and the Tyrael skinned Vala on your team, you're just going to freak people out. There's going to be angels everywhere.
Or you can go
Diablo
demonic
Angel.
Vala, demonic
Yeah, there you go.
Tyrael, demonic Auriel, Diablo. And is there
Good.
another demonic skin? I don't know.
We're getting close to like full sets. We're getting close. I don't know. It is going to be really interesting. I'm very interested to see how much damage she's actually going to do, because Claudio describes her as an aggressive support, and so he was even talking about her having like this full Q build. So it'll be really interesting to see if she actually does have some sort of build that can go fairly decent damage. Maybe we will see some sort of a double support meta kind of back in. I know it's run every once in a while now. It's not necessarily the thing currently, but that'd be kind of interesting if she kind of brought that back a little bit.
I thought the point Claudio made about her getting in there and like they were talking about how some of her early iterations kind of went wrong. And one of them was that, as a support that's aggressive, you would just kind of get in there, do your thing, and die, kind of like Kerrigan does in some cases. So he didn't really give us specific details or numbers or stories of the testing that led to it, but it made me think that she's not like that, that she's going to be able to get in there, sustain herself and other people, and really stick around, possibly even better than we see out of Rhaegar, from the sound of it. I don't know if you guys got that impression or not either.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad he kind of went in on that, because one of my big questions when they're making these heroes that aren't necessarily playable in game, and we've had a few of them already, is just kind of how they decide the kit abilities and whatnot, because you don't really see these characters in action. But they, from this kit and Auriel being the angel or the Archangel of Hope and stuff, I think it looks like they've gotten the flavor of her pretty well. The Crystal Aegis, I don't know how that fits in necessarily. If that's something, I mean, I play Diablo for a few weeks every season. I don't know how that fits in necessarily, but everything else looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crystal Aegis is going to be interesting. There's a lot of potential for trolliness with that.
I'm so glad you
I kind of
touched
mentioned
on
that. Yeah, I kind of mentioned that earlier. Because it is a 2-second stasis that you put on someone else that they have no control over. So, like I could definitely see it be used really awesomely. Like you just like preemptively stop a dive as they jump in to do all the damage. Bam, completely immune, and you just wasted a bunch of stuff or a bunch of skill shots or whatever, or even an ult. And it does damage when it breaks, so you don't necessarily want to be around it either when the 2 seconds is done. But at the same time, I mean, he even mentioned an ETC mosh pitting 4 people and Auriel putting that ult on ETC and completely canceling the mosh pit. So there's definitely it could be a little. It could be bad. It could be bad.
Awesome,
it could be awesome, or it could be horrible. And so it'll be
awesome
interesting
either
to
way.
see.
It's either
troll.
practical or funny, one of the two.
Yep.
Yes, for some people at least.
For me.
It'll be interesting to see if they, depending on how people use it, if they change some of the functionality so that the person who got it can break it early. But that still wouldn't fix like it interrupting a channeled ability from like Nazebo, with his spirit, or ETC with his mosh pit, or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how people end up taking to that, and I think that's going to be one of those like GIF moment ults that we're going to get some really cool plays from, because Resurrect is cool, but it's a 3-second cooldown. Or it's a 3-second channel time.
Mm-hmm. Right,
and
which
so,
can be interrupted by any sort of stuns,
any sort of,
knockbacks.
So most likely Resurrection is not going to be something that you get off during a team fight. You'll probably be able to sometimes, but you won't get it off. And for those who weren't around and didn't hear, Resurrection works so whenever a person dies, Auriel will see a little ghost, and it will actually display that person's death timer above it. So you channel on whatever ghost you pick, and after 3 seconds, it will resurrect them exactly where they died with 50% health. And you can resurrect them at any point during their death timer. So a team fight could be over, a person still has 30 seconds left, you could go back to the location the team fight happened and resurrect them.
Yeah.
So that's cool too. There's a lot of interesting strategy that could happen with that as well.
Yeah, and as far as cooldowns, I know he said on Resurrect it was about 90 seconds. I don't know if he mentioned one on Crystal Aegis.
He made it seem like it was shorter, but he didn't give a number, I don't think.
Yeah, 40 to 60 would be probably closer to 60. I think would be my guess. But yeah, I think it's cool. I don't think Resurrect's going to be, overpowered powered like some people were thinking, because it's
The
not. It's
3-second
not.
channel
Yeah,
will
it's
keep
not a
it
battle res. This
no
is
powered, yeah.
this is more like, oh, we just won a team fight, got our curse, but we lost somebody. Let's bring them up for the push, so we could just.
I do
immediately
like
start
that
pushing.
though.
No, yeah, it's
especially
really
if that person that got killed was a Sylvanas and really important for your push. That could be actually a huge deal. So, but it's kind of situational too. I mean, he said that both ultimates are situational for sure, but that one especially so, because what if you take it at 10 and people just aren't really dying very much and you're winning? Like, you just kind of wasted, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, guys. Well, if anybody has any last questions here, shoot them in real quick. But other than that, again, this was a very different format show from our usual. We will get, if you missed the interview with Heroes producer Claudio, then the VOD is going to be up on Twitch right after this is over, and we'll get it up on YouTube, and audio format will be out on anywhere you get your podcast fill.
It's 35 minutes of information-filled goodness.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So good.
But before we close this off here real quick, Multi, why don't you let people know where they can find us at?
You can certainly find us several different ways. We are certainly in-game. You can type /join space LOTS to check us out there, get some games in with us for our in-game channel. Also, we are on Twitter at Lords of the Storm and Facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can send us emails at lordsofthestorm@outlook.com, and we're on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm live Wednesday nights at, it's usually 9 p.m. Central. We moved this one for Claudio just to make that all work, but yeah, next week, 9 p.m. Back to where we're going. And yeah, we're part of the Zord Network at zordnetwork.com. And you can join our Discord channel, which is sticky at the top of our Twitter and some other places. And if you don't know, that's a chat service that does both text and voice chat, and it's really pretty sweet. We got a Pokemon Go channel now, so check us out. I know I mention that every week now, but whatever. And if you want to help out the show in any way, of course, one of the best ways you can do it is to leave us any sort of positive reviews out there, or any kind of review, I guess. But we really like the positive ones. 5-star iTunes, positive Stitcher, Google Play, whatever. And if you like what we do and want to help contribute to the show in any way, we could not appreciate any more our patrons at patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where you can give any amount that you feel necessary or none at all. But either way, we appreciate it and just love you guys.
Yes. You can also find us individually. You can find me on Twitter at Gizmozord and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gizmozord. You can also find me on Convert to Raid Presents. Convert to Raid, the World of Warcraft podcast, now covering all things Blizzard. They are actually doing a show tonight here in about 30 minutes to an hour and a half. I don't remember which time exactly, but I'm not on it tonight. Multi, where can you be found at?
I'm on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm also on a show called The Cavalry, which is on Twitter at The Cavalry Show, and it's about Overwatch, so check it out.
Perfect. TBK?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, and of course on twitch.tv/TBKZord, where I do streaming and casting for Chair League. We actually have a game tonight at 9 Central. I'll be casting with Inverum, one of the Chair League playoffs, and then of course the Chair League finals this Saturday. So definitely check those out.
Perfect. And we want to give one last special thanks again here to Claudio Gentilini for coming, spreading some wisdom, some hope on Auriel, who once again is slated to be released in PTR next week, Monday, possibly Tuesday. Things can always change though, and then be released the week after. But yeah, we want to give a thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Zord, for helping support the show. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Hopefully we'll get more of those coming here in the future. But until then, we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.